galaxy. The Irith fleet responded too late, their weapons firing in a panic, but the humans were already in control. Their technology, their ships, their weapons, everything was superior. The humans didn't have to fire a single shot to break the spirit of their enemies. The very presence of their dreadnoughts was enough to cripple the Irith's once unshakable confidence. In the halls of their Grand Senate, once filled with boastful debates and jests about the old human myth, the Irith now faced the stark reality of their hubris. The humans had shattered their illusions, their myths, and their place at the top of the galactic pyramid. Now, the galaxy would whisper of humanity, not as a fable, but as a truth, a force of unimaginable power and resolve. And as the dreadnoughts disappeared into the darkness once more, leaving the Irith fleet scattered and broken, the galaxy fell silent. For the first time in millennia, the Irith were no longer the dominant power. They were the defeated. And in the silence that followed, one thought echoed across the galaxy. The myths were real. The Galactic Council was in uproar, a storm of laughter and dismissive gestures filling the grand chamber. The idea of humans, the supposed fabled species, was a source of amusement for every race present. The Thraxians, with their towering physiques and steely eyes, exchanged knowing glances, each more certain than the last that humans were no more real than the ancient myths of their long-dead ancestors. The Orion Trade Guild had long used humanity as a joke, an anecdote in the study of lost civilizations. The Kharos, a race known for its prowess in subspace navigation, had even sent a few of their most brilliant explorers to scour the ruins of Earth, only to find what they expected. Nothing. Just stories. Worn-out tales of primitive creatures who had somehow built cities from stone and iron. Ridiculous. A species that claimed dominion over a small, forgotten planet. How utterly laughable. To them, humans were a mere legend, an ancient fable, a myth preserved in dusty archives for entertainment purposes. As far as anyone could tell, the last remnants of humanity had vanished long before the rise of the galactic empires. And so, in this vast council chamber, as the holographic displays of the galaxy twinkled around them, the aliens laughed. Humans, the counselor from Zoreth IV sneered, a myth we must prepare for, perhaps the next historical joke. Should we send them a medal for surviving their own foolishness? The room erupted in laughter again, but that was the last time any of them would feel so secure in their arrogance. A singular anomaly flickered across their radars, a ghost signal, so faint it was almost imperceptible, carrying with it a distant and haunting resonance. The alien fleets, unbothered by the strange nature of the transmission, brushed it off as a glitch in the vast ocean of galactic noise. And yet, as weeks passed, the anomaly grew. Whispers spread. There were reports of inexplicable power surges, unexplained shifts in gravitational fields. A fleet was heading toward their star systems, but no one had claimed responsibility for the intrusions. When the Zoreth IV counselor, a race well known for its impeccable data networks and flawless intelligence, studied the records, his voice faltered. The signatures. They don't match any known species. This time, the room fell silent. The ship was unlike anything seen before. It didn't conform to any of the advanced technologies they were familiar with. The Dreadnought-class ships of the galaxy were works of art, sleek and methodical in design, but this thing, this relic of an ancient, forgotten past, was different. It moved with a confidence that was unnatural. A sense of purpose emanated from it, as though it knew exactly where it was going and it was not afraid. And that name, that symbol. The fleet's signature had not been seen in millennia, yet it was unmistakable: humanity. No longer a myth, no longer a fable. The room was filled with the low hum of panic, the kind that spread through the air like a virus, infecting every mind. Theories exploded in an instant. Was this some kind of trap? A test by a species so advanced they had been hiding in plain sight? But then it came, more terrifying than any theory. They were real. The humans were not dead. They had never disappeared. They had simply been waiting. The Dreadnought broke through the fabric of space, its colossal form tearing through the fabric of reality, a symbol of unimaginable power. The ship's presence was nothing short of a cataclysmic force, its weapon systems bristling with energy, its hull impenetrable. And then came the signal, the unmistakable voice of a human commander transmitted across all frequencies. "This is Earth. We've arrived." There was no boastfulness, no arrogance, only calm, cold certainty. The fleet did not ask permission to enter. They did not plead for a place among the stars. They simply arrived as if they had always belonged. And the galaxy trembled in its realization. Humans were not the myth they thought. They were the reality they feared. Panic spread like wildfire. The Orion Trade Guild, once so confident in their dealings and resourcefulness, scrambled to form an alliance. But nothing they had in their arsenal could match the raw power of Earth's fleet. The Kharos, who had once dismissed human technology as primitive, realized in a single breath that their own advanced fleets were no match for the raw, uncaring strength of humanity's machines. The humans came not with diplomacy, but with destruction. They did not fight like other species, calculating, methodical, slow. No, humanity fought with an intensity that caught the galaxy off guard. Their weaponry was far beyond anything the aliens had encountered. They wielded power not out of desperation, but with cold and calculating confidence, like a predator knowing exactly how to strike. The galaxy's mightiest leaders now cowered before an enemy they had dismissed, all while the human fleet grew larger with every passing moment. They could no longer deny it. Humans were not just another species, they were the species. The very idea that these primitives had somehow survived, evolved, and even thrived without the aid of galactic empires was nothing short of terrifying. As the alien ships faltered, human dreadnoughts sailed effortlessly into the heart of their space, as though they had always been the true masters of the galaxy. The leaders of the galaxy, those who had mocked, who had ridiculed, who had looked down upon humanity, now sat in stunned silence, listening to the hum of their own impending annihilation. The humans had rewired the battlefield, crushed their arrogance, and left them all gasping for answers they could no longer find. Their fleets, once imposing and powerful, were nothing but shadows in the presence of Earth's might. The Senate floor was no longer a place of debate, it was a place of fear. The Kharos delegate, once proud and full of bravado, was now shaking as the human fleet moved ever closer. A voice echoed through the galactic communication systems. "Earth does not ask for your consent. We do not need your permission, we take what is ours." And then, just as quickly as it had begun, the fight was over. The humans stood at the pinnacle of the galaxy, silent, unyielding, and utterly unconcerned with the pleasantries of diplomacy. Their silence was more terrifying than any battle cry. The galaxy could only whisper one thing now: the myths were real, the humans were real, and they were here. The once proud civilizations who had laughed and mocked the Earth for centuries now faced the horrifying truth. Humans were no longer a myth. They were the kings of a galaxy that had forgotten them, and in their wake only silence remained. Silence and a deep, shuddering terror. For centuries the name had lingered at the edges of interstellar memory, a half-forgotten whisper traded in the smoke-filled academies of strategy, mocked in the war councils of great empires, passed as a drunken jest in the mess halls of fleets. The humans, they called them, phantoms of a forgotten cycle, supposedly a primitive warrior species who burned their own world in fire and steel before the galactic records even began. A myth of savages who fought with such reckless fury that they were said to laugh in the face of extinction itself. But no archive listed a confirmed sighting, no navigational chart marked their world. And so the children of the stars dismissed it as a tale for cadets, a ghost story for green recruits, the kind of legend told to explain why battle doctrine still carried lines like "prepare for asymmetric aggression" or "beware the unexpected strike from the dark." an old superstition that had outlived its origin, and thus the rumor of humans became nothing more than a joke, until the day an unidentified signal bled across the rim systems, low, steady, unmistakably deliberate, a transmission wrapped in encryption no one could break but carrying beneath it an undertone of power that set the scales of every listening officer vibrating like struck glass. And though the admiralty of the Tiray Dominion scoffed and laughed, though the Kavar war hosts clashed their claws in amusement, though the high scholars of Vera declared it an echo anomaly, still the patrol fleets were dispatched, their cruisers cutting through the void with arrogance painted across their hulls, confident they would find nothing more than a drifting derelict or a pirate trick. For myths do not breathe, and legends do not sail the stars. Yet as the flotilla closed on the dark sector where the signal pulsed like a heartbeat, the void itself seemed to grow heavier. The starlight dimmed as though something vast and ancient pressed against it, and the laughter in the command decks began to falter into silence, until one by one the ships reported the same impossible thing. A silhouette hanging against the abyss, larger than any cruiser, darker than shadow, a hull that seemed not built but wrought, brutal in geometry, scarred yet proud. And then without warning space shimmered, distortion waves tearing across the void as an immense shape uncloaked, a leviathan of metal and wrath emerging from invisibility. And in that instant every alien throat dried, every heart struck by a primal fear their species had not felt in millennia. For emblazoned across the Dreadnought's flanks was a symbol no archive contained but every instinct recognized, the mark of humanity, a flag of defiance painted in stark colors, and the comm channels exploded with disbelief, voices stammering that it was impossible, that humans were dead, that humans were never real. Yet the proof loomed before them, a warship of such monstrous scale that their fleet seemed like insects beside it, its armor layered thick like geological strata, its weapons arrays humming with dormant power, its engines glowing with the fury of a captive star, and when its forward batteries lit